We're live, pal.
We are.
I like that.
Look at
That's
that.
how I've made that my catchphrase. I've appropriated it to
Yeah.
be my opening call. Welcome to Pro Wrestling Simulated, everybody. I'm Mike. That is Pat, the Stat Man, and we are back for another round of the most insane fake pro wrestling. Is that weird to say? Fake pro wrestling tournament? the
Faker than
craziest,
usual.
the craziest pro wrestling tournament that has ever been done or attempted to be done. I don't think anyone has, so we're the first.
Yep. That much is certainly true.
We have, of course, 10 rounds of fantastic matches, big names this episode.
Yeah.
Big names. There has apparently, I think we're starting to catch on with some of the bigger brands because the Forbidden Door seems to be opening left and right. All of this crazy business.
Yeah. Yeah. It's getting weird. I mean,
Mickey James in the Royal Rumble.
In some cases, it's out of necessity because you've
we've
released
got
your entire women's roster.
Seems like we've got the Kingdom in Ring of Honor as
Yep.
well as some other crossovers. I'm just gonna. There we go. Now we're even.
I could also adjust mine, but also
we're good now. Hey, there you
are. Fading out. Yeah.
Side by side, shoulder to shoulder.
There we go.
And of course, all the talent exchanges that go on in All Elite Wrestling. But we were doing it, before it was cool.
Yeah.
Before all the promotions were like, yeah, we're gonna get in on that.
Yeah.
So
we brought you Pac versus Don't Die Miles as our very first match.
One of the biggest upsets.
Yeah.
Still to this day on our show.
It's gonna be hard to top.
It is going to be hard to top. But we are still going to try.
That's right.
But before we begin, Pat, what you been watching lately?
Well, I finally got caught up on MLW Azteca this week.
Yes.
I hadn't had a chance to catch up on that, and it's a mixed bag. I feel like the storyline progression is really interesting. They're doing some stuff that I've never really seen in American wrestling.
It's Lucha Underground without the budget.
Basically, yeah. It's like if you and I put on an episode of Lucha Underground. That's kind of what it would be. But then they go to the ring and it's not so much.
It gets lost in translation a bit, so to speak.
Yeah, a little bit. I've never seen an underground fight club held outdoors in the daylight with children present. But they're working with what they have. With their partnership with Crash, which is fine. I mean, the match has been fine. I could do without another main event bloody brawl that takes 20 minutes. But that seems to be what they're going for with the new underground shows.
You still have Cesar Duran.
You do still have Cesar Duran.
I mean, he really is like the best.
And Carly Perez, who I just love. She was one of my favorite parts about Lucha Underground.
Oh yeah.
And she's been great so far in MLW Azteca. Yeah, certainly not complaining. It's still, really entertaining television. It's just, I don't know that I need to watch Savio Vega go 15 minutes and Blade against Pagano on a main event of a modern TV show.
But one of their champions is in our main event.
That is true. That is true. The IWA Caribbean champion.
And now known as King Muertes.
Yeah.
Yes. He's had several different versions. Ricky Banderas, for those who know, prolific Puerto Rican wrestler, who has always wanted to be the Undertaker, it seems. Like,
yeah.
Like every gimmick I've ever seen him do has been some sort of like King of the Dead type deal.
Yep.
Like even when he was in Wrestling Society X, some say the progenitor for Lucha Underground and shows that really kind of brought that show was not given a chance. Great roster. No. Great roster. And then just kind of like MTV had no idea what to do with it.
No, they had the idea of, hey, Heat has been successful for us. Let's do our own. But they're like, oh, we don't have any wrestling people here, like Wrestling Minds. They had like you said, a great roster. It was the first time I saw people like Jack Evans and
He's
a
a
few other guys
human
like that.
Tornado.
Oh God,
He
I
was
love
my
Human
favorite.
Tornado.
Where did he go? Did he
I don't
just
know.
kind of drop off?
Where did he go?
I have been looking for him, hoping that he made a comeback. He had such a hot streak on the indies for like a good minute. And I called a couple of his matches, and I've always been thoroughly entertained and impressed by him. The guy is super tall, super lanky, but flies like Peter Pan in that ring and has one of the best pounces.
Yes.
He nailed it all the time. My favorite was always the breakdance into the corner kicks.
He retired in 2010.
No kidding.
Made an appearance in CZW in 2012.
Wow.
Did a PWS, not ours, but Pro Wrestling Syndicate show in 2013. And then did a show, wrestled Penelope Ford at Joey Janela's LA Confidential for GCW in 2018.
But okay.
That was his last in-ring appearance.
Okay.
Also made an appearance in Nacho Libre.
Oh, yeah.
He was El Snowflake, who was in the Battle Royal sequence. But yeah, the first time I ever saw Human Tornado was a YouTube clip of him. I don't remember who his opponent was.
Wait, is it the one where he dunks on Matt Sydal?
What's that?
Is it the one where he dunks on Matt Sydal and turns?
Yes, that's what it was. It was Matt Sydal.
It was Chikara. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever saw him. Was he?
That clip is legendary.
High school gym, he dunks, drops down into a Rana on the parquet floor. Amazing.
And that also was like going around with the clips of the most illegal move in professional wrestling, where it was I forget who it was from Chikara, but they basically made everybody in the locker room come out and dance from being hypnotized.
It was the Osirian portal, right?
That's it. That was it.
Yeah, I remember.
That was crazy. I love it. Sometimes wrestling doesn't have to be too serious. No. It could just be fun.
Yeah. That's what, and I learned last night while I was doing some research on some upcoming people in the tournament. So I was poking around on IWTV. Apparently, IWTV has every Chikara show.
Yeah, they sold like a whole library. It seems.
Yeah. So I have seen bits and pieces, but I've never. Because I know there was like kind of an overarching story for the entire promotion.
There always is. They have had like clones, time travel, monsters. They had a crossover with Kaiju Big Battle for a while, which wasn't there should come back. Absolutely.
Wasn't there a show where somebody literally got like super kicked into next week? He disappeared and then reappeared in the ring the following show.
Yeah, and at one point they came back in a DeLorean. Yeah. Like they legit like rented it and they drove through into the big gym that they would run in Pennsylvania all the time. The King of Trios shows were probably their best shows.
That's mostly what I've seen is the trios matches.
I think that's where a lot of people get their exposure there too, because those tend to also be like the season finales. Like that's the thing; they would have like a full year's worth of story, and they would call it a season. It was very
like Ultima Lucha.
Yeah. I went to their comeback show where Kingston faced off against Icarus for the Chikara World Championship. Again, Kingston just amazing. It was very, very well done. And the whole show was just crazy. I've always been a fan of the Colony, which were the ants. One of them, who is now everyone knows, is Orange Cassidy.
Another was Drew Gulak. There was a bunch of them.
One of the great viral clips that went around there was when their music stopped. They used to come out to Ants Go Marching by Dave Matthews Band.
Yes.
And their music just stopped, and they paused in mid-March. And then when the music hit again, they went right back to it. You should definitely check out, like, if you want to just enjoy yourself watching this, watch Chucky T versus oh god, the name of the guy who Archibald Peck? No, Archibald.
Archibald Peck.
Yeah, Archibald Peck. They do this like kind of no holds barred match, but it wasn't really. Like they stop because they don't want to hurt each other trying to climb across chairs, so they're like helping each other. And then they start to do like graduation photo shoots in front of this big painting that's on the back wall. Stop the match for no reason, and then they just it's goes over super great. And the best clip that I've ever seen was Delirious and Hallowicked versus the Super Smash Brothers, now known as the Dark Order, where they are trading jabs at each other, and Delirious, who never speaks English, is mostly like blah, 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 blah.
It's like the Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah, the clearest he's ever spoken was when he's throwing jabs at like the retro systems. Like he's going Sega CD, and then the ultimate one, Princess Peach is a tramp, and the whole crowd goes, oh! And the thing is, he had a Nintendo controller on his shorts, and if you kicked the pause button, player Uno paused. Mm-hmm. he would. That was his weak point.
It makes sense.
Great. I love that stuff. I think at one point like he botched a couple of moves, and then Stu Grayson just looked at him and went, and then like he put it back in the match, and he started playing the spots over again. Oh god, man, I love when like they can kind of take the piss out of wrestling sometimes, and everyone's in on it. I don't know if you've ever seen, there was like Delirious versus El Generico, and they're going to do like the classic run the ropes, duck down, leapfrog, all that kind of stuff. And Generico stops because Delirious says, "You're going to trip me." He's like, "What are you doing?" No. I was going to lay down. He's like, no. You back forth, me leapfrog up top. Hey. That's what we do. And I think, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember. I could go on like all these viral video spots, but like that one, and there's a video of every progressive moment of Chuck Taylor scaring a small child at indie shows, where he just yells in their face and gets them to cry. Like, why?
Consummate heel, that Kentucky gentleman.
Well, let's
give the people what they want.
You got to give the people what they want. But let us get into it. It is time for match 1 of the 500. We have got so many big, really, really big matches coming to you, folks. And I feel like you guys need to see these new graphics that I made because they're really good. There we go. Let's enjoy it again.
Ooh, I like
All
that.
right, so match number 1.
You may know him as Ari Sterling from 205 Live, but it's Alex Zane.
Ari Sterling?
That Ari Sterling.
No way.
The 434th best wrestler in the world, according to Pro Wrestling Illustrated.
Now, Alex Zane got a really good return welcome to Ring of Honor when he showed up in a Battle Royal just post release. I think it was the Honor Rumble that they had called it.
I think that's right.
I'm going to try this. Naomichi Marufuji.
I believe that's right. That's how I've been pronouncing it in my head. A member of M's Noah. Alliance in Pro Wrestling Noah, co-holder.
Which, by the way, Pro Wrestling Noah getting a lot of good buzz lately.
Yes. Good showing against New Japan at the beginning of the year.
Kingdom just finished.
Yes.
Yep. That was a long show.
Yes, it was. Yeah. It was a good show.
Good show.
But it was quite lengthy, yeah.
All right, so what do we know about
moonsault from Zane?
Alex Zane, and nice. One more moonsault.
And a third. Going the super crazy route there with the...
A little bit of Christopher Daniels in there, too.
Yeah.
Love the triple moonsault.
So Alex Zane is a 16-year pro out of Lexington, Kentucky. We're talking about Kentucky gentlemen earlier. He is the graphic showed him as representing New Japan. He's a regular on Strong now, but pretty much after his WWE release. Well, actually, before his WWE release, he was working for Game Changer, Warrior Wrestling, Black Label Pro, Freelance Wrestling. And then very briefly appeared on 205 Live. Was there like 3 months and then released.
Did he even show up on NXT?
I don't know that he did. The only match that I'm positive he had was a singles victory over Samir Singh, but I can find that pretty quickly. Marufuji, on the other hand, one of the top stars in Noah, from Konosu Satama, Japan, 23-year pro, made his first appearance in the PWI 500 back in 2001, and has made it as high as number 27 back in 2007.
Made in Japan, right there.
Yes, he has
about the move. The move is actually called Made in Japan.
Yeah, Made in Japan. Yeah.
Oh, nice backflip off the turnbuckle.
Marufuji taking a page out of Bryan Danielson's book, running up the turnbuckles to avoid the charge in. But
I would love to see somebody catch Danielson at that point into a power slam. Like I've now like that spot. I don't think anybody's tried to pull that off yet.
That feels like a spot custom made for Wardlow.
Absolutely.
Like that's exactly. But then one of them would have. Well, I mean, Wardlow is pretty clearly turning babyface at some point in 2022.
Very good. Pele
probably sooner rather than later.
In terms of for those who don't know, in Pro Wrestling Noah, they also have their own like governing body of champions, which is what you see with GHC there. Do you know what it stands for? What is this? What is that?
Oh God, Tornado Brainbuster.
We've never actually even seen that in the game. Like
no, that was a new one on me.
I've never even seen that in real life.
No.
I think somebody was trying to go a little OP with the character creator here.
I'm wondering if Zane himself had anything to do with that.
Make sure you give me the coolest suplex that possibly can be done in this game. Okay, we're gonna make you dance your opponent around and drop them on their head. That was like a corkscrew brainbuster.
Kinda, yeah. It was like a Steiner screwdriver brainbuster, but like literal screwdriver. Like he was lefty Lucying him to the canvas.
There's your finisher name, the Lefty Lucy.
By the way, GHC stands for Global Honored Crown. That's what the acronym is for. And Zayn actually made more appearances in WWE than I thought he did, but they were all on 205 Live.
Which obviously is going to have to change its name, as there is no cruiserweight division anymore.
No, and it's also not live.
Essentially, the show has been kind of like Superstars.
Wow! That was a double moonsault into a... I genuinely don't really know. Zayn is pulling out some stuff I have never seen before.
All the stuff that he was never able to do and probably would have never been able to do in WWE.
Oh, yes. Yeah, there's no way he would have got away with that on 205 Live. And Marufuji was like, yeah, that was cool, but I'm just going to kick you in the face. I'm going to
beat the living hell out of you. How about that?
Yeah.
Substance over style.
Yes. That's a very Noah way of dealing with that.
Oh, yeah. Noah matches hit hard, folks.
Yeah.
Kenta became kind of a viral sensation from YouTube clips from his matches on Pro Wrestling Noah. Some of the hardest hitting strikes you will ever see come from Pro Wrestling Noah matches. Yeah. Good God.
Yeah. Noah was basically got its start from, it was a bunch of kind of refugees from All Japan in the early 2000s. So, I mean, you look at the early lineage of that title. Very nice. I
thought that was going to be it, to be honest.
Variation on the Flosion there from...
what is this?
Zayn just like spinning, turns a fireman's carry into a power bomb.
Now, yeah, if you notice, there is a big difference. He is going for huge head strikes, huge drops on the head, and that certainly did it.
That did it. The
Zayn
he
just
calls that the
tried to
tiger
impress the crowd too
flosion.
much with those flourish moves.
Yep.
And obviously they weren't too effective because he's not dizzy at all.
Nope. He's up and bouncing.
But now we're moving on to our next match right away, right into it.
Yeah, let's do it. We're going to go straight into Yuya Uemura and wait till you hear the pop for his opponent here in just a moment.
Now, here's the thing. With Young Lions, they usually are instructed to run to the ring, as they have not yet earned the right to soak in adulation.
Yes.
I'm not joking. Like, that's a legit thing.
Yeah.
And here comes
the king of strong style.
And the current Intercontinental Champion in WWE.
Yes, indeed.
Shinsuke Nakamura. And man, does he love surfing.
Yes.
This is an actual in-game model, so you're going to hear Shinsuke's voice.
Yes. Yes, you are. Naturally, he's going to try to, Kinshasa Uemura's head right off his shoulders.
I have always loved Shinsuke's style. And I mean, like, legitimately from the head down. His fashion sense is one of the coolest and most unique. And then he came to WWE and they made him wear Elvis jumpsuits.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that was his choice or like...
It really could go either way.
I'm glad he's happy. I'm glad he's getting to work the pace that, is comfortable for him. I think he realized after WrestleMania, he's like, oh, I don't have to brutally beat someone.
Yeah.
I in turn don't have to take like Kota Ibushi's kicks.
Right.
I can just kind of chill out and be a little bit more of a character. And he has shown. But I mean, we were all expecting like every match to be the one that he had against Sami Zayn in his NXT debut. And his NXT run was great.
That
was definitely the last shades of the old, or rather the New Japan version of Shinsuke Nakamura.
Right.
Although his music is still awesome.
He probably has my favorite entrance theme in WWE right now. It has for multiple years.
NXT for a while was all about like, let's see how in the takeovers we can do your entrance music.
Yes.
Especially with Shinsuke and with Bobby Roode.
Yes. The electric violinist walking to the ring with him, still like low key, but also still epic.
The entire choir doing Glorious.
Yes.
I mean, not for nothing, I love Bobby Roode. I unfortunately think that they made the only thing special about him was his ring entrance.
Yeah.
Which I get it. It's a great tune, but he's I guess if he's happy too, awesome. I'm never gonna say, like speak for a wrestler like, oh, you could tell that they're not happy. Why don't you just like, maybe they're just okay. Just because they're not wrestling the way you remember them.
Right.
Different point in their life, different point in their career.
Yeah.
Shinsuke got to win the Royal Rumble in the year of his WWE debut.
Yep.
And main event WrestleMania against AJ Styles.
Like,
that was good. Like, sure.
Yeah.
Would people have loved if he won the main event? Of course. Sure. But, I think that he accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. Mm-hmm. I don't know necessarily. Maybe he wanted to win. Maybe things change. Maybe. Plans change all the time. Is the treatment of Japanese wrestlers in North America still something that needs to be fixed? Absolutely.
Yes.
Big time. I know that with audience, big moonsault, don't really see that often from Nakamura. Mm-hmm. When you see, it's unfortunate that language barriers still have to be a factor in regards to getting over with an audience. I think it's one of the reasons that a lot of overseas wrestlers or any wrestler from non-North American country doesn't necessarily get the pushes that they deserve.
Yeah.
There are exceptions to the rules, but very few.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, like the the story about WWE, it's for years been like they're looking for their next big Latino star.
And how long have they been doing that?
Forever. And their two biggest Latino stars are from San Diego and El Paso. Like they were Americans of Latin descent who, were legit luchadors for many years before debuting in WWE, but there was no language barriers with Rey Mysterio or Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
They were able to come right in and do their thing. But, one of my personal favorite mid-90s wrestlers who never really amounted to anything, Hakushi, Jinsei Shinzaki, was putting on banger matches. Like his match with Brett is one of my favorite matches from 1995. But he was never going to be anything more than what he was, because
10 minutes passed now.
English wasn't great. Yeah, Uemura is hanging in there longer than I expected him to.
I do love the endurance. And one of the things that gets taught in Young Lions is you must have endurance.
Yeah.
And man, because they get legit beat the hell out of.
Mm-hmm.
I would always love watching the older wrestlers take on the Young Lions in the opening matches of New Japan events. And you can tell that they're just like, yeah, I'm here to destroy you today. So just be aware that do what you were supposed to do. Show us that you could do this, but you're going to get hurt. Yeah. And it's kind of like, I know it's a little morbid, but it's kind of fun to watch still to just be like, how much can you take?
Yeah. And there's a difference because it's going to seem a little hypocritical for, like, I know in past episodes we've criticized like Hardcore Holly for, taking advantage of young wrestlers. It's a cultural difference.
Yeah. It's also safety. I mean,
yeah,
when the guys in Japan are doing it, they're like, listen, I'm going to strike you as hard as I can, but I'm going to make sure that it's the way that we've been teaching you because this is how it's supposed to be done. It's a matter of honor and respect. Oh, big kick. Oh,
Uemura fires back with a drop kick.
This is what they talk about when they say fighting spirit.
Yes. Yeah. Ooh, sit out DDT from the. Is he looking for Kinshasa?
Here we go.
Kinshasa! 1, 2, 3. Okay. It's rare that we are stunned into silence here on the 500.
I thought I was going to get the Kevin Kelly moment there.
Yuya Uemura kicked out of Kinshasa.
Gosh. Oh, there we go. I love that suplex.
Just folded him up on himself.
You notice that in Japan, when he does it, they will land straight on their head. Oh, yes. But in WWE, he just kind of basically flip-flops him over.
Yeah. Oh, that moonsault again, but he's again too close to the ropes.
Maneuver. Usually when Nakamura comes off the top rope, it's with big knee strike.
Yeah.
Or for a flying version of the Kinshasa. Who do you think likes to call the Kinshasa more? Corey Graves or Kevin Kelly?
Probably Kelly, but Graves is he's narrowing the gap.
Although he might come back in the Rumble.
Man,
you think that could happen?
I think it could.
Will he do the, taking the headphones off and go in? And then Pat McAfee follows right after him.
Like the year that they did that with JBL and Booker T.
And then just for Michael fun, Cole. Have Byron Saxton do it too, only for him to get immediately eliminated.
Yeah. See if he can break Santino's record.
Was it like 1.6 seconds? I think
that's very right.
I was not ready. I was not ready. Best reaction ever.
I enjoy how they, for years, forgot about the Warlords elimination, and they would talk about how the shortest time was was it Butch or Luke?
Yeah, it was one of the
that got in the ring doing this bushwhacker walk and then just escorted across the ring and thrown over the top.
And then just marched right out.
Yeah, which is a great Rumble spot, but forgetting entirely that a couple years before that, the Warlord came into the ring, posed, and got clotheslined over the top.
Oh. He is Nakamura is really pulling out all the stops for this, keeping the himself the young lion keeping Nakamura on his toes, as it were.
Yeah, he's having to dig deep into the playbook. Uemura with that nice shotgun missile drop kick.
Oh,
is he?
Oh,
he shots Uemura, but he's too close to the ropes. He wasted some time dragging him to the middle. 2, 3. No. Oh my goodness. That was close.
Man.
Backstage, Ilya Dragunov and Mark Quinn are watching this because the winner of that will get the winner of this in round 2.
This is crazy.
This match is insane. We're closing in on 20 minutes and Uemura is still hanging in there with Shinsuke Nakamura.
I mean, he's got everything to prove.
Another super kick from Nakamura and another drop kick. They go back to that fighting spirit.
And he's on his feet. He is still on his feet.
Let's see if he is. Another sit-out DDT. Nakamura knows it's going to take more. He goes back into that flying cross arm breaker, but he's in the ropes.
This is exciting, Pat. This is exciting.
It is. Frank Atsushi is the referee from Big Japan, and he's the one that breaks up. Another shotgun missile dropkick from Uemura. Shotgun missile is a weird combination of artillery phrases.
I think it's just a standard missile dropkick off the top rope there, but usually the running one is like the shotgun.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the reason I'm calling it shotgun is because he's like laying out when he does it rather than going sideways. But yeah, I guess it is. It's a missile dropkick. It's a different kind. It's a tomahawk missile dropkick. It's a
it's a Scud missile.
It's a Scud missile. I like that. Oh my god! Can you imagine if Sergeant Slaughter had been a high flyer in 1991? They 100% would have named one of his moves.
I don't fly, brother.
I want my country back. And shockingly, the fans weren't on board with that.
No.
Who would have saw that coming?
There's the knee.
Double knee off the top from Nakamura. Pulls him to his feet. Going for that back suplex again.
He's going to hit him with everything.
Yep. He's done messing around. There it is. One.
That's got to be it.
There we go.
What a combination.
Atsushi a little out of position. No.
Oh. Holy cow.
Uemura is showing us something here tonight.
What did he eat this morning to get him in the mood to really show off?
He ate an entire cereal aisle of Wheaties this morning.
Like whatever it is, get me some.
Yeah. Throw out this Cliff Bar I've been working on and switch to the Yuya Uemura diet.
Oh God, a spinning back kick like to the back of the head. That can't be good. This has been one of the hardest hitting matches we have seen. A flying
running forearm to the back of the head. Man, they have not quite got the timing of that spot right.
They are getting exhausted.
Yeah. It's almost 25 minutes of just beating the hell out of each other.
I thought he was going to go for a Boston Crab there, which is usually one of the go-to maneuvers for young lions.
Yeah.
That and the double arm suplex. But I don't think Nakamura is messing around anymore. But he hasn't been, certainly, for the last 10 minutes.
No. Nakamura off the ropes. Runs into the back elbow. Uemura, I would say, I mean, if we were scoring this match, I think Uemura is probably ahead on points.
Yeah, I would say he's
almost
definitely
26
in the lead.
Minutes in.
Just like people wonder, like, well, how do you score a pro wrestling match? It's usually you got to watch who's gaining the upper hand, who has the ability. You're watching their counters, you're watching their presence. You're given points, kind of like in like an amateur wrestling match, but it is like kind of like calculating the back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if it gets a pin, then yes. But if it were a decision right now, I would have to give it to
big power slam from Nakamura.
It's a close tie. Like this may be a split decision.
He goes back into that flying cross arm, and that's it.
That's it. Once he nailed it right in the middle of the ring, there was no way. Gripped it on tight. Well done. Well done. Fantastic match.
I mean, I know we're 2 matches in, but that feels like it's going to be a match of the night contender the whole rest of the night.
And we go from New Japan to Big Japan.
Yes, we talked a little bit about Big Japan with the referee in that last match, but this is the Urchin Prince, Drew Parker, a Welsh wrestler, not a wrestling hotbed particularly, but Drew Parker from Big Japan, 5'9", 165 pounds. This was his first time in the PWI 500. He challenged for the titles in DDT a few times during the course of the year, but BJW is really kind of his home. And then there's Ali Catch, who is probably most famous for chasing Paul Scheer out of a GCW show with a knife.
She's my favorite, just because of that.
Yeah,
Paul, and I know why. I'm still not over what you did.
Yeah. We're still waiting. The door is open.
Our forbidden door. There is no forbidden door in this arena here. In the pro wrestling simulated, spectacle arena dome. We've copywritten like every word that you could put onto it.
Yeah.
Sportatorium. That was a great name for an arena.
The Sportatorium is a great name. Yep.
Ali Catch, where have we seen her?
Primarily GCW. That's kind of her home promotion. But if you follow the indies, you've seen her. Yes. AIW, Beyond, AAW, No Peace Underground. She actually participated it's weird because now we're well into 2022, but the evaluation period for the PWI 500 was July of 2020 until June of 2021. So when I say last November, I mean November 2020. She actually won a 15-person body count battle elimination death match in AAW.
We love our long titled matches names and titles.
Yes, we do.
And that is up there.
That was at the No Peace Underground Body Count Battle show from November 12th, 2020. Good year for Ali.
Before or after No Sleep Till Brooklyn?
That's a great name for a show.
I'm sure it's
Ali, 6-year pro, made her debut on the PWI 500 last year at number 58. She has slipped to number 111 this year, Texas native. But yeah, she's used to wrestling against the guys. She's had matches against PWS favorite Cabana Man Dan, Ethan Page, Levi Everett. Just a big up and coming star on the indie scene. It will be interesting to see if either of the big two pick her up, because she is really a heavyweight.
I'm just going to say this. I don't think WWE is interested in any more indie talents. Unless they are under 25 and can be conditioned to work the style that they train the performance center signups to be. If you have been on the indie wrestling scene probably for more than 10 years and you are over 25, your sights are set on Impact, AEW, MLW, anything but WWE.
GCW.
Especially with the way that everything has been going down and how the amount of exposure on WWE contracts. That was unorthodox.
Just trying to Charlie horse that leg.
A little too low, and that could have easily been immediate disqualification.
Yeah, but Kyohei Wada, the referee, was all over it. He wasn't going to let Ali
driver. But Ali Catch, I would absolutely love to see in AEW's women's division. I'd love to see any prolific women's wrestler on AEW or MLW. Just get them in the mainstream. You deserve it.
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
that Roxy just recently lost the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship to Deonna Purrazzo, one of my favorites, the Virtuoso. One of my current favorites right now in wrestling.
Yeah.
Not just because she's a Jersey native, very close to home, but
that doesn't hurt.
Doesn't hurt. But it's more like
bonus points.
Now, why is he called the Urchin King?
That's an excellent question that I have not yet found a satisfying answer to.
Hey, look at you. I stumped you.
You did. Why
Oh, she got the sleeper hold locked in tight.
Urchin Prince.
Ooh, able to break out of that one.
Why did they? All right.
Oh, Urchin Prince.
Urchin Prince, yes. Why?
I mean, he kind of has like a Raven, Billy Kidman, WCW vibe to him.
Yeah, it's just kind of he's got a gritty, dangerous, edgy kind of thing, and I guess Urchin Prince just sounds cool.
Hey, if it works, it works. You got to sell.
And it's working for him. He's a kind of a deathmatch favorite in Big Japan's got a huge deathmatch, basically a division of death matches. They
and there's entire promotions dedicated entirely to death matches.
Yes, indeed.
FMW Explosion.
IWA Mid-South has pretty much gone completely hardcore
FMW
over the last
Explosion had a missile explosive match where it was kind of like you got to hit the turnbuckles to activate, get the ring, like kind of like the old Texas bull rope style. But when you hit the fourth turnbuckle, it would be fired. A missile would be fired at the ring, and then it would all explode.
1, 2, 3. Alley Catch
pile drivers had that been in the match? Like 4 pile drivers?
Yeah, I think so. She. I remember way back in episode 1 when we were talking about Yuji Hino's finisher and how it's not something you could say on Twitch, but not something you could say on national television.
Yeah,
the effing bomb.
Yeah, the effing bomb.
Yeah, Alley Catch's finisher is the it's alliterative, and the second word is pile driver.
Okay,
so you can put the pieces together on that.
I mean, you could also call it the pile drive her.
You could.
I mean, I think that's marketable. By the way,
I like that.
Joshua Bishop coming. He just came to the ring. I have seen Joshua Bishop recently in Jersey Championship Wrestling. This man, he is like Sid Vicious good, like 90s Sid Vicious good, and has potential to be great. If it was up to me, I would drop the Joshua part. Just call yourself Bishop and just squash. But he is against the current FTW champion, absolute Ricky Starks.
Yeah, it's a Midwest versus Mid-South battle here as Bishop, the Ohio native. He was both the AIW Intense and AIW Absolute champion for a significant portion of the evaluation period after beating Matthew Justice, who I can't remember if we've seen Matthew Justice in the tournament or if he's coming up.
Not sure.
It's all Sometimes this is episode. What?
Sometimes it becomes a bit of a blur.
It does. There are 500 of them, folks.
Yeah.
Some of the matches are going to run together a little bit. We're down to 386 now at this point. At this point in the tournament, this is actually the halfway point of the tournament. After this episode, we will have gone through 12 of the 24 first round episodes. Ricky Starks, just he's gonna be a massive star.
The guy
he's
has
well on his way already.
The whole package, like the charisma, the style, the in-ring ability, and he's just cool.
Yeah.
He's just straight up cool. And there's no question that he is doing all the right things in emulating The Rock when he first became The Rock back in the Nation of Domination days. And hey, man, it fits him. I think that Starks absolutely is world champion in his future. I would love to see him with a run with the TNT Championship. I want him and Hook to be and Powerhouse Hobbs to be trios champions when that ever happens. Like, I just give this man the ball and let him run with it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
why is
in
Team
my
Taz
eyes,
face? Like they're accidentally the good guys. Like it could just
yeah,
because how cool we all think they are.
pretty much the sort of unofficial fifth pillar of
Mm.
AEW.
You
I
can
think
have
the only
more than
thing,
one, like four. Yeah, there are four corners to a square, but you can have more than
yeah,
one pillar to support your
yeah,
massive structure. And
he's
yeah.
he's the load bearing beam of AEW. He's
I mean, if you want to take a page from Jonathan Gresham, he's one of them. He's a foundation.
yes, yes, and yeah, I mean, uh, Cody's open challenge when he was TNT champion did a lot of good for the undercard of AEW. It brought us
Yes.
Eddie Kingston and it brought us Ricky Starks. And Ricky Starks was one of those guys, like, the first time he showed up was like, I don't know who this is, but he's a star.
And that music really helped.
Yes. Yes.
Mikey
Yeah.
Ruckus once
Mikey
again
Ruckus is killing
delivering.
it.
God, the
I mean,
Jim Johnson of this era for sure.
he had a song chart on the metal charts last year.
Yeah.
The Adam Cole's theme was #1 on the metal charts for a week or so back in September. Like Mikey, right? You know, he's the. I feel like he's the Jim Johnston of this era.
Absolutely.
You know, CFOs is they have put out some good stuff over the years for WWE, but I feel like almost every AEW theme is a banger and fits the character that it's for.
Exactly. It translates well. It really speaks to the identity of the talent behind it. And then, getting licensed music to fit it too works.
Yep.
I mean, Hook getting that artist to do his song or allow him to use the song, it works so well. I mean, thank God Hook is good. That's all I was gonna like. When I was worried, like I was like, oh no, what if he's bad?
Right.
Well, turns out I was wrong. He's a natural talent, and just put the belt on him. Like that, I'm just like, I'm ready. Like,
send Hook to the top.
Send Hook to the top.
Like you remember the movie Fanboys?
Yep.
The review, that very last shot of the movie where they're in the theater, and it's like, guys, what if it's bad? Yeah, what if it sucks? Unfortunately, Hook was not Phantom Menace, and
now I've rewatched Phantom Menace recently. It's not terrible.
It's
by
not.
Any means. I think that we just gave it a lot of crap because we were like, this doesn't feel like Star Wars.
Yeah.
Now I will say about Joshua Bishop, he's a big boy. He is one of these guys that I hope gets like a PWG exposure. In time, he's still a little rough around the edges from what I've seen, and then I think it's a matter of
he's only been at it 4 years.
Yeah, a little bit of inexperience, but he does remind me of like Mike Awesome in his ECW run, especially with matches against his iconic matches. Why is it that
Tanaka?
Tanaka. I almost said Tatanka.
Speaking of which, that would have been an interesting series.
That was a awesome bomb type maneuver.
Yeah.
But yeah, if Bishop, let's say, was at Pro Wrestling Simulated IRL, just saying, this man would destroy. He would be a monster. He would murder people in the ring.
Yes. Starks with the arms of Orion, that double underhook facebuster.
I like his Rochambeau. I think that move is fun. I think that he's got a fantastic spear. He's got it all. He's the whole package.
Yeah, and even like his fundamentals are really good. Like
his fundamentals.
His suplexes are crisp. Like, I mean, I guess they'd have to be if you're, a protege of Taz.
Yeah, when you're a student of the human suplex machine, you better have good suplexes. The only thing that turns against him is that he does tend to flaunt a little too much to the crowds.
Yes. He is aware of how big a star he is.
and sometimes that doesn't always work in your favor.
Well, taking a page out of Ali Catch's book is Joshua Bishop.
I first saw Ricky Starks in NWA Power. It was a contender for the National Heavyweight Championship. One of my favorite lines that he said, because he would always rhyme. Like he would go with these cool rhymes. He was like, Colt Cabana, You know that crocodile leather is my pleasure, but I think I look bold in gold. And I was like, yes.
Speaking of suplexes, nice fisherman suplex there from Starks too, and that's it. Lena Khan from All Japan counts the 3, and Ricky Starks is on the second round.
Massive tree trunk legs against him, holding him back.
It's a lot of weight,
but
being
Josh
pushed into your own chest.
Next time, Ricky Starks moving on,
and he will face the winner of this next match. We're going right into Shane Haste, aka Slapjack.
Yeah, formerly Shane Thorne, right?
Shane Thorne, yep. From the Mighty Don't Kneel, or TM61, or Retribution. Shane Haste has been all around the world in his 18 years as a pro from Perth in Western Australia. And he's up against Flying Brian Jr.
Brian Pillman Jr. I like Brian Pillman. I do. But dude, if you want people on your side, don't wear a shirt on AEW television that says cancel culture.
Yeah.
just stay away from that, buddy. I'm all for like that's great. Okay, you got your views, but like, come on, let's
read your audience.
Read the
room. Yeah.
Before Shane Haste was released, wasn't he about to do like a like very Australian gimmick? Like,
I think so, yeah.
Like, he came out in like Crocodile Dundee gear, but he was still called Slapjack.
Yeah.
By the way, in the UK, Slapjack means something completely different. You don't want to. You can make a probably good guess, but you don't.
I was going to say I'm going to go into incognito mode during the break and look that up. Nice drop kick from Brian Pillman Jr. He's got the red streaks back in his hair from his MLW days.
But I first saw him in MLW alongside Teddy Hart and Davey Boy Smith Jr. as the Next Gen Hart Foundation. Or the New Hart Foundation. I wasn't sure what they were.
I think they were the New Hart Foundation. Yeah. MLW likes to pay tribute to the old wrestling families. You know, the Von Erichs are a very prominent.
Von Erich brothers are killing it over there. I love the new Von Erichs.
Yeah.
I mean, they actually have a relative chance of doing well because their grandfather isn't around to possibly threaten them with murder.
Yes. Yes. Speaking of threatening with murder, how about that Tammy Sitch story?
Tammy, get better. Just I hope you're okay.
I really hope she gets the help she needs.
I had the pleasure of watching you and doing some ring announcing for your work when you were on that recovery with I got to call her in New Japan, in New Jersey All Pro Wrestling's women's show, as well as a Women of Wrestling match, which she's had great matches. She had matches against Mercedes Martinez. But yeah, I hope for the best for you. Demons can be a hell of a thing, as we've learned from plenty of episodes of Dark Side of the Ring.
Yep.
Speaking of Dark Side of the Ring, do you think that people became more ingrained with Brian Pillman Jr. because of the show, or did it just help something that probably would have naturally happened?
I think it was probably going to happen one way or the other, but I think it definitely expedited it. I think he got that mainstream exposure faster than he would have. I think because he's Brian Pillman's kid. Like, he was eventually going to catch on somewhere.
And he never had a relationship with his dad, but he is doing the best version of his dad's work from the Flying Brian days.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, would I love to see Pillman Jr. against Liger? I sure would.
Oh, man.
That's one of my all-time favorite, like, not early WCW matches, but
it was the first match on Nitro.
It was the very first match on Nitro. It was like the the beginning of an era, like end of one era, beginning of another for the lightweights in WCW that would eventually become the cruiserweights. That eventually
First time I ever saw a drop kick used as a defense move.
Yes.
Liger jumped off the top rope and Pillman hit him with the drop kick coming down. First time I ever saw that. I was blown away. I was like, you could do that? Like him and like Pillman those matches, like 1, 2, 3 Kid matches and like those guys, like they blew my mind mid-90s.
Sit up powerbomb by Haste.
Very cool. Haste, if you want to see, check out the TMDK matches. Him and Mikey Nichols, fantastic talents, great tag team. Their run in NWA in Australia was fantastic. They're big, they're huge in Australia. For a while, they were like one of the top indie tag teams to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, the buzz around them when they went to NXT was huge because it was like, oh, NXT got the Mighty Don't Kneel. And then they kind of floundered. That was a bad time for them to go. Ooh, nice.
No one was really, it was like one of those things like, what do we do with this talent?
Yeah. And they also came in like the NXT tag division at that time was as stacked as it's ever been.
Yeah.
And so they were competing for airtime with, with the Revival and with American Alpha and with the Authors of Pain
and the Vaudevillains.
The Vaudevillains. Yeah. There were just so many teams that were just going to take up the airtime that they would have gotten had they come in a year later. But that was also at the point where Triple H was kind of at his peak of like, okay, I want all the top indie guys. So naturally,
I think Shane Haste is bleeding in the chest, or that's tattoo. I can't tell.
I think he's had that since the beginning, but it's hard to tell because we get so few shots at that angle that it might be from those knees to the chest that Pillman keeps doing. But it might be
torn pectoral is not something you want to go into any battle with, but I think that also just might be the design of the tattoo ink.
I think that's yeah, I think it's a tattoo,
which keeps alternating pecs.
Yes, yeah, it's weird. Yeah. Also, if you watch the like the stripes on his tights, depending on which direction he's facing.
Hey, folks, the game ain't perfect, but it's good.
No, it's very good. It's very customizable. I noticed while I was. Huge shout out to Miguel Francisca on the he's a PS4 character creator for uploading a series of logic templates to the Fire Pro store, and so I have been using that to start putting together some edits of the wrestlers that I have not been able to find yet. I still want your creations because I'm not good at it. So, send them in. But for now, but anyway, so the reason for that anecdote is that I was working on Doc Simmons's gear, and he has a stripe on one hip, but when he turns in a match, it's on the other hip. It's just the way that, Phoenix Splash from Shane Haste. 1, 2, that's got to do it, right? 3, yes, it does.
Shane Haste, moving on. And folks, that has been our first half of this episode.
Shane Haste, Ricky Starks is going to be fun in round 2.
That is going to be an awesome match. Coming up in our second half, we have got... Why am I still frozen?
I don't know.
Oh, well. We have got Mance Warner versus Dalton Castle. We've got Ilya Dragunov versus Mark Quinn. We've got Doc Callows versus one called Manders. Adam Brooks versus Boom Boom Colt Cabana. Or Colt Boom Boom Cabana, whichever you prefer. And our main event tonight, King Muertes versus old Tommy Tango. Tama-Tonga, one half of the Gorillas of Destiny. And that's all coming up.
That's going to be brutal.
That is going to be absolutely brutal. When we come back, we are going to talk a little bit about some big news that happened concerning Major League Wrestling and WWE. But when we come back, we'll have the second half of our tournament. We hope you stick around too. Thank you for joining us. We will be back in 5. That was the upload button. Hey,
And we're back.
Oh God,
Dinosaur
serious
style.
face. Frozen on all things. It has to be the serious face. Come on, stop contemplating. There we go.
Which is worse, being frozen or flickering out of existence? Because we're
ask Marty McFly. Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Simulated. Thank you for joining us. If you're joining us just now on the stream, where have you been?
We've been here all day.
We've been here. We've got the second half of our rest of our tournament for this part coming up. But right now, we're going to talk about probably the biggest news that has happened this past week, rather. And when Sports Illustrated covers it, you know it's a big deal. Mm-hmm. Major League Wrestling files an antitrust lawsuit against the WWE. Now, I may not be a fancy city lawyer. I'm just a caveman. An antitrust lawsuit. For those who don't know, those are when companies sue bigger companies to make sure they don't monopolize a market. If you're a wrestling fan for as long as we have, we kind of say too late because WWE kind of has done really well in monopolizing. Excuse me.
Where have you been the last 20 years?
Yeah. So this is from Sports Illustrated, SI.com. An antitrust lawsuit has been filed against WWE by a competing pro wrestling promotion. Major League Wrestling issued a press release on Tuesday night announcing that it has filed an antitrust lawsuit against WWE, citing WWE's ongoing attempts to undermine competition in and monopolize the professional wrestling market by interfering with MLW's contracts and business prospects. According to the lawsuit, WWE allegedly had pressured third parties to abandon contracts and potential relationships with MLW, among them being Vice, Vice TV being the biggest one.
And Tubi, the streaming app,
which is owned by Fox. Yes. This was shocking, to say the least. Shocking in the sense, not so much that WWE wouldn't do something like this, but that someone's actually going to try and take them to task.
Yeah.
It is also
which means they must have a strong case.
Yeah.
If nobody's been able to do it in 20 years.
Derail a relationship between MLW and Vice TV. Tubi. They said that a then WWE executive warned Vice TV that WWE owner Vince McMahon was pissed that Vice TV was airing MLW programs. If you've seen the Fightland specials, that's what they were talking about. According to the lawsuit, they are saying, according to MLW CEO Court Bauer, WWE has been wrongfully depriving its competitors of critical opportunities for many years, but its latest conduct has been ever more bad.
Unconscionable.
That's the word. I can never say it. I almost inconceivable or unconsolable.
Keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
No, apparently not. I think we speak for the rest of the professional wrestling world when we say that this anti-competitive behavior has to stop. WWE issued only one statement regarding the lawsuit. WWE believes these claims have no merit and intends to vigorously defend itself against them. If they have no merit, then that shouldn't be too hard for you to fight.
But need to defend yourself very vigorously.
Vigorously, you say. It's like, you've seen a few good men. I object. Oh, yes. Overruled. I strenuously object. Well, let me think.
You strenuously object.
One of my favorite exchanges in that movie.
Yeah.
Do they have a case? Do you think like that there's it seems like there's some evidence behind it? And if they have accounts, if they show the receipts,
that's what it's going to come down to. Because obviously they have a case. Like we have seen it since the 80s that WWE is trying to monopolize the entire industry.
All the way back to Black Tuesday on TBS.
Yes.
If you know about that, that is when Vince, when he was spreading out the market from New York, one of the first things he went to was actually buying the WCW time and on TBS. This was before it was, the Monday Nitro era. Right. This was just, NWA, WCW on TBS, the Superstation.
TBS, yeah.
and he bought the time and he took it over, and he was showing like old Madison Square Garden matches, not like recent ones.
Nope. Just like classic WWF stuff.
Just took the time.
But the thing that makes me think that MLW has a shot here is that we've known for 40 plus years that this is Vince's MO. This is the first time anybody has actually done anything about it, which means they must have the smoking gun.
Yeah.
And I don't mean the ass boys. I mean, they must have an email chain or something showing WWE interfering in MLW business, which is a violation of antitrust, which could be disastrous for WWE.
Yeah. I mean, here the big difference maker is going to be who sent the email, and if or rather whose name is on the reply, the recipient, like who sent it. Because if it is the top change between old Vinnie Mac or Stephanie, or it has to be those two for anything actually to be done, because anyone else can easily be fired.
Well, I mean, the press release itself mentions a former WWE executive. So
and I feel like if it's okay, maybe if it's, do you think if it was Pritchard or if it was current? But I mean, like, you got to think of like the big names of
somebody at that
doing
level
television for them back
then.
And this is big, because if it actually goes to court, so many things can change in the way that WWE runs its business. There's plenty of there's plenty of speculation about. Now, again, this is all alleged. We cannot say that this actually happened. There is precedent from stories in the past. It is not uncommon for, I mean, and you could do this about any big corporate entity. It's funny. They all say that they want competition until it actually happens.
Right.
And I mean, Freddie Prinze Jr. recently revealed, as he has been just like letting every secret out lately on his podcast, by the way. It's worth a listen. They tried to sell to Fox. Like, WWE was like, okay, so you want us, while they were trying to get a SmackDown, and they got the deal, obviously. But they wanted to just sell the whole thing to Fox. And Fox was like, that's too much, and you're not really like worth this much anymore. So they were like, all right, fine, just put SmackDown on the air. And now it's been kind of like they've been toying with like USA and Fox, like, whose parent company wants us? It's so weird. Now this is just me saying this. The views and reflections, the views do not reflect those of Pat Dooley.
we need a new graphic to run.
This is just my opinion. And again, this is all speculative, and I am not trying to demonize anybody. I'm thinking solely based on the evidence of the business practices I've seen before me. When Nick Khan came in, he saw that spreadsheet of talent, and he crunched numbers. A lot of people left, obviously. And then the very proud announcements of record profits were always following. You've got an entire creative change on your clearly now defined to be a developmental brand with NXT. Moving time slots when realizing that they are they cannot possibly be a competition against the Wednesday night slot that AEW has. When you see that even in the beginnings of when your demographics are being beaten in the opening matches of a 10 o'clock time slot on Friday nights, while your Friday show is trying to bleed into that spot, there's signs of alarm. And everybody, everybody basically saying they're trying to sell. They're trying to sell the company. If this gets settled out of court or whatever it may be, this is looking bad for WWE no matter what. They kind of have a no-win scenario. I mean, yes, they can afford very good lawyers, but like I feel like this is right up there with the Vince steroid scandal. Like this is really, really high in terms of like this is going to be an earmark in the history of this company.
Which, as we all know, was as bad as 9/11,
according to them. Jesus, they listen. I there are lots of things about WWE that I still like, and that is mainly individuals in the company when I watch them. Product as a whole is nowhere near what it used to be, and it probably won't be. I don't know when.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't even like. I don't know what it would take to make it like really shake the roots and be like, we need to change.
Well, because the thing that we were all banking on as fans was, once Vince dies and Triple H takes over. But now
I don't wish death upon anybody.
No, but I mean that was the only way he's ever gonna relinquish the.
It's a bad take on
reins.
a majority of fans, but we're just saying like that like tended to be the thing that went around.
That's what it would take.
Yeah.
But now we know that if that happens, well, I mean, when that happens, he's not immortal.
As much
when
as
that happens,
although
the company's going to Nick Khan, which means it's going to continue to be Vince's show. So,
and if it does go to, once Vince steps down, whoever gets it, they are going to be like, great, I'm cashing out by selling this place. Mm-hmm. And I have personally, I think, again, I have to preface that, I think that's Nick Khan's motive. I think that's his plan to make it, he wants to be able to put it in strictly a financial position to be sold so that it can be profitable to everyone who's going to be at the top no longer, if they carry over in a position, or if they just bank off of it and move into some other form of entertainment.
Yeah.
I don't know about this, about you, but I've heard, and I've heard from people who have written for WWE. If you're a wrestling fan, you're not welcome there.
Yeah, pretty much.
WWE is kind of like, it's a resume patter for television writers, which makes me sad.
Yeah.
It's a content factory. The place is a content factory. The fact that they have not signed up for TikTok at this point makes me like wonder. Yeah, well, I mean, they're behind the ball on so many things.
Well, they're still trying to get Tout off the ground.
I was gonna say, do you still have a Tout account? I did sign up for that. I legit did. It was so dumb.
So it's funny you talk about it being a content factory, because I was going through. I'm trying to keep the rosters in Fire Pro updated so that when people come up in matches, they're working for the right promotion, they have the right titles, that sort of thing. So I periodically will go on a company's Wikipedia page and try and make sure I've got their roster set up right. I got to the broadcast team section of WWE, and they have so many shows that I'd never heard of that I'm presuming are all on Peacock or something. But like, I mean, obviously, like, Talking Smack and Raw Talk.
There's also like
the Bump, Experience. They somehow still have Main Event. They have there's an Indian show, Sunday Damal, WWE en Espanol. There's Wal 3 there is Superstar Superfan. There's The Run-In, WWE Aura. Obviously, Raw, SmackDown. Bottom Line, Vintage, Free for All, Afterburn, This Week in WWE, WWE Saturday Night. Here's this.
Like,
they don't even have their own network anymore, and they have 40 shows.
But like, that's not what people bought the network for. It was for the classic libraries.
Yeah.
That's what we all wanted to watch. But this is the thing that, and if you think that WWE was trying to fight for their name to be World Wrestling Federation, think about how quickly they changed it to World Wrestling Entertainment, and then not even mention those letters anymore.
Nope.
Yeah, that's the world we live in, folks. So thank goodness for wrestling promotions like Major League Wrestling, like AAA, like AEW, like everything on independentwrestling.tv. Check out the Canada promotions too. I mean, Progress is coming back in England. It's a good it's good to see indies and I guess I don't want to call them like number 2 promotions, but alternative televised promotions.
Yeah.
Give them a shot. And man, am I psyched for GCW. Mox is coming back. He's defending the belt against Homicide. Whew, it's going to be a big show. But we have now more matches ready for you as we continue the tournament here once it begins to play. Technical difficulties aside, here we go. And coming to the ring now, Dalton Castle, the Party Peacock, the man who's got the best versions of Queen songs as his entrance music.
Yes.
The boys, however, not meant to accompany today.
Banned from ringside. As we have we've mentioned multiple times on the show. This is straight one-on-one competition. The locker room doors are locked during matches, so there can be no outside interference. It is man against man.
And what can you tell me about Mance Warner, who, in my opinion, is like everything that it's as if it's Stone Cold Steve Austin didn't work out.
Basically, yeah. He is.
I don't mean that as a slight against Mance Warner. He's a fantastic wrestler. He's probably better shape than I'll ever be in.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I mean, he's he's a native of Bucksnort, and we've already got a bump. Elijo del Tirantes is down and bloody.
Yeah, wow. We have some very soft-skinned referees.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're not used to taking those kinds of bumps, and this is the second week in a row that we've got juice from a referee. Mance Warner to me feels like if ECW had survived, he would be, if not their top guy, one of their top guys now.
Absolutely.
The Southern Psycho is a member of Nick Gage's Second Gear crew in GCW. That's what you probably know him from. He was also the AAW heavyweight champion for basically the entire evaluation period for the PWI 500. He's really, it's one of those guys that seems like he's been around forever. He's only been a pro 6 years.
Yeah, I first saw him in MLW. He really, really captured my attention just with his whole presence, his insane, like, just look on his face. He decided to ditch like the traditional tights and singlet look and just straight up go for like, I just woke up this morning and put on my boots and I'm here to kick your butt. I love the town that he is built from because it is a real town.
It is
Bucksnort, Tennessee.
Bucksnort, Tennessee. Actually, also the hometown of Bunkhouse Buck from WCW was always billed as Bucksnort, Tennessee.
No longer with MLW. He is a free agent. Where would you like to see him? Because honestly, I feel like he would run wild in Impact.
I think he would. Yeah. I mean, I think for now, GCW is a really good fit for him. But yeah, when it comes to, a nationally televised promotion, he would do great in Impact. Actually, so would Dalton Castle.
Oh, absolutely.
Both of these guys
made for Impact.
Yeah, these are two guys that like are right in Scott D'Amore's sweet spot.
Yes.
Because I could totally see.
I still like to give Impact Wrestling a lot more credit than people give it because it really has turned around. And if you're not watching, you should, because there is some great wrestling going on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And Mance Warner, I could see either joining Violent by Design or being the babyface against them. Like, I mean, imagine a hardcore war with Mance Warner against Rhino or against a Joe Doring or an Eric Young. I mean, that's
Mance Warner versus Joe Doring already just has me like interested.
Right. Yeah, I think that's an excellent fit for him. And then, I mean, Dalton Castle is just gonna. I mean, the boys will be the most overact in Impact within 6 weeks. He's just built for that audience.
I don't know if you also know of Dalton Castle's alternate persona, Ashley Remington.
I'm not familiar with Ashley Remington.
I saw Ashley Remington. I don't necessarily know if they're the same person. They're completely just two alternate styles. Ashley Remington is all about style. He is if a man who owned a lot of yachts decided to wrestle, basically. And he's very polite, and he's a gentleman, and he will let you know, because if the ref starts to count, he will let you know. I break at 1, my friend. Biggest pop of the night for when he debuted that character at Chikara was when he just said, "Oh no, I break at 1, my friend."
Yeah, I need to go through that Chikara library.
Bryce Remsburg was the referee for that match. Nearly lost his stuff right there. But Dalton Castle, he's a big dude. He
is. He's deceptively large. He's
a little shorter.
He's built anyway.
He's stockier.
Yeah. He's 5'11", 217. He's built well. He's not a he's not a hoss by any means, but he's well put together. He works on his body, and you can tell.
Former Ring of Honor world champion, the current television champion. We'll see how long that will come into play, as it seems Ring of Honor and Impact have reached some sort of agreement where they're going to be. I think Ring of Honor has invaded Impact. It's fair to say.
I think that's. I don't know that may be a one-sided agreement that they've reached.
Yeah,
Ring of Honor is like, we're just going to show up and beat the hell out of your guys.
But he is a one-time world champion, one-time television champion, and a one-time 6-man tag champion with the boys 1 and 2.
Yes. Yeah, the boys are like the and Tarantis is down again.
And the highest he has been ranked is number 15 on the PWI 500 in 2018. Where was he this year?
He was number 367 this year. He is slipping down the charts. He was 289 last year. His first appearance on the 500 was in 2014 when he was number 482. So he's not at his all-time low yet, but he is slipping down the ranks. And
I think though with 2018, that was like during the time Cody was in Ring of Honor and he was feuding with him for the belt there. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of exposure at that part.
Yeah. Yeah. He looked like at that point, he looked like kind of a can't miss prospect, as somebody's going to be lucky to sign him and have him be a big star for them. But
he could have been in Triple H's NXT for sure.
He could have. I'm actually a little surprised he wasn't. I
have to signify that the black and gold is Triple H's era.
Yeah.
The whatever rainbow multicolor, like just I don't know, paint splatter version of the 2.0 era. Even though 2.0 is a tag team,
right? And it's also the third version of NXT.
Yeah.
But
we don't talk about the reality show, apparently.
Yeah.
Much like Bruno, we don't talk about.
That's right. We don't talk about Bruno. We don't. It's. I actually to the point where when I was doing research,
that's how you do a pop culture reference. Not wait 6 months until it's not popular anymore. Anyway.
So when I was doing research for this match, I was looking up, was there some sort of controversy with Dalton Castle? Was he part of the speaking out movement?
I hope not. That's the thing, is there's so many people where I look them up. My first thought is, please don't be somebody who did something stupid.
Yeah, don't be problematic, please. But I fully expected that was why he had kind of slid, was that he wasn't getting booked because there's this thing in his past. There isn't. No. I couldn't find anything about. Yeah, I couldn't find any information about, any allegations, anything like, Warner turns that Northern Lights attempt into a DDT.
Happily married man, he's wrestled all over, and it just one of those things where I think it was due in part to Ring of Honor's kind of slide down in exposure.
Yep.
They, as good as the wrestling was on their show, unfortunately, no one was really watching it.
Yeah. Oh, tornado DDT from Warner.
DDT. Warner, you don't usually see break out too much of the traditional pro wrestling
Light suplex from Dalton. That's enough.
That's all it took. And that's where that amateur background comes into play.
367.
Well done, Dalton Castle.
Looking to climb. He will be facing... Ooh, this is going to be a fun one. Dalton Castle against Ali Catch is now the match for round 2. Cool.
But we've now got one half of the private party. Did you get your VIP pass?
And 1/64th of the Hardy family office.
I got my pass. I don't know about you. I got
St. Walter.
Okay. It can't all be that special, but you know.
He is from a place where you need an invitation.
Yeah, I got my invite.
Nobody invites me to anything.
Well, I mean, they didn't let me in, but I got it. Like,
I was okay. Busy. I mean, that's not nothing.
I was busy, you know, like things catch up on you.
Yeah.
But the current NXT UK champion, for however long that's gonna last, Ilya Dragunov, whose chest, I believe, is still healing from Walter.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think his title reign will last longer now that Walter seems to be full time in the States.
Yeah, I think he even moved to the States.
Yeah,
to make that happen. Because Imperium, they turned themselves around. They're actually... I'm very curious to see how Walter does in this NXT.
Yeah. Well, Walter looks like the kind of guy Vince likes.
Yes.
So...
But he also has a body that WWE don't always like.
No, that's true. If Walter had been around in the 80s, he would be in like a King Kong Bundy type role.
He'd be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody from the 80s is a Hall of Famer at this point.
But I mean, he'd be that guy who he'd be going around like the attraction match.
Right. They'd be building him up. They'd be building him up to feed him to Hogan eventually.
Yeah.
Because they used to think ahead like that's that. How they do it. But, you know, back when they had long-term planning and they weren't tearing up the booking sheet an hour before airtime.
I'm kind of as far as like Mark Quinn goes, I feel kind of bad that, you know, Private Party are great.
Yes.
There is a bit of imbalance issue with the tag team scene in AEW right now. Mainly because majority of them are under the Hardy family office, it seems.
There is that.
I don't know why it just didn't stop at like Hardy Party and then, you know, Hardy. Like, I mean, that's just like the name is in itself, but we'll see. I'm not sure what's going to come from Big Bunny Matt if he decides to still be that in the future. I know he kind of said like, I'm not going to be that guy anymore. And he still is. But in the opening of that tag team championship tournament, when Private Party defeated the Young Bucks in the most shocking like upset in wrestling at that moment of that year. That is like a real... Everyone thought this match is going to be great, no question.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that the Bucks aren't going to win. And then they don't, and everyone went, we need to keep our eyes on Private Party.
Yeah.
And they delivered. I think I love their finisher of the Hurricane Rana into the cutter.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen anything like that. Like,
yeah, they have some really innovative moves. The gin and juice is great. I also really like the silly string.
Yes,
where it rolls up over his back and then very cool.
Check out the House of Glory tag team matches too. That's the stuff that got them signed.
Yeah.
And they
were actually signed in the middle of the House of Glory ring. The Bucks
they just like reach out to the Bucks and they're like, "Hey, this is our stuff. Check it out."
Yep. And then the Bucks showed up at an HOG show with the contracts for them.
Yeah. That's what a way to get your talent and really like prove to fans like we're really paying attention to what you guys like.
Yeah. It's but yeah, you talk about the imbalance in the tag division. Like probably 5 of the 10 best tag teams of the last decade are all in AEW right now. And so it's hard for a team like Private Party or their stablemates TH2 or even like the Acclaimed to kind of crack that next
And it's not that
tier.
they're not winning either.
Right.
But that's also the problem, is that, okay, I love John Silver. I love the Dark Order. I love him and
Alex Reynolds.
Alex Reynolds. How are they in the top 5 when, sure, the wins and losses do matter in AEW.
Yes.
And but like, not everybody watches Dark and Dark Elevation.
Right.
So the matches that they're beating, like these guys who are either making their AEW debut or their tag team debut, that's win pads. How did the rank, like, that's where the definition of like how the rankings work, like they've never beaten they've never beaten FTR, they've never beaten the Bucks, like,
yeah,
where is the priority of, like, all of a sudden, like, the Varsity Blondes were number 1 contenders, and I was like, listen, I watch the shows, but like, when did that happen? Like, how does that come into play?
Who did they beat to get here?
And does one team have more standing than another if they beat them? Like, it's weird. It's like, okay, it's like if a major league team beats a AAA team, yeah, of course that's going to happen, but you don't count that for your,
right. That's an exhibition.
Yeah,
that doesn't. Yeah,
and that's something I think needs to be more defined. I think that they do need to understand, like, this is a rankings match. Like, if they did something like that, I would totally get behind it more. A little more definition to the wins and loss records might help, in terms of, like, you could make more stories out of it. Yeah. What if Chikara had a rule where you have to have 3 successive victories in a row in order to get a shot at the tag team championship? So you had to have 3 points, and it had to be 3 successive wins. It's so simple. It was and it was incredibly effective, because you would watch the teams, and it didn't always happen.
Right.
And I think that can carry over into singles divisions too. Like, if you have a rankings match, or if you're at the top of the rankings, you got to get certain amount of wins in a row. Like, you don't have to overcomplicate it, but just something a little more, like, definitive. And this is where Ilya Dragunov's striking comes into play, because this man's endurance, the fact that he powerbombed Walter with that double underhook powerbomb, just like and the amount of chops and chest slaps, like the match that everybody talked about between them was not in front of a crowd. It was on NXT UK television. And then the match they had a takeover, they were just like, okay, let's really show everybody what we will do to each other.
Yeah. Well, and that the match against Walter on NXT UK, that was a 5-star match. Meltzer gave it 5 stars, which for an NXT UK TV match is, I think, unheard of. I think it's the only one
where no audience is. Just
chops echoing off the bare walls,
and on like, just, I think there is a permanent indentation of Walter's hand on Ilya's chest.
yeah, it's
like, this guy is intense.
Like Harry's hand in Home Alone with the M from the doorknob. There's just a Walter handprint.
Yeah, he got his big exposure in WXW, which is a great German promotion.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of WXW guys in the tournament so far. Cara Noir, Rampage Brown, yeah,
one of my faves.
Yeah, we saw one last week whose name escapes me. Bobby Guns. Is a WXW guy.
I love Dragunov's just anger intensity. Like, the man just is like, he's like a personified version of all the anger that's inside Ivan Drago. And then just became a human.
Yeah. He's very Russian.
Very Russian. One time I was working with a friend, we were commentating for NWA, and he said, his opponent's Russian. And I don't know if you know this, Mike, but Russians are strong. Like, he just threw that at me as if it was a fact.
That big power bomb from Dragunov is enough.
And there's the Russian strength. I guess he was right.
Yep. Russians are strong.
Russians are strong, man. But it was so generic. We cut the tape, and I looked at him like, Russians are strong? Like, that's the thing you're going off of?
Well, I mean, Zangief could pile drive a bear.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So Ilya Dragunov will now face Shinsuke Nakamura in round 2.
And we
That
saw
might
how hard those two hit each other in
that
our
could be the match of the
match.
tournament. And we were talking when Mance Warner came out about the second gear crew. One called Manders is another member of that stable. This is going to be a Haas fight.
Oh yeah,
going in there against Doc Gallows from the Good Brothers. These guys they're gonna beat the hell out of each other for a while probably. Yeah, this is gonna be fun.
Steve Manders, aka Manders, aka the one called Manders.
The one called Manders.
Just one, the Corn Belt Cowboy.
Yes. Only a 4-year pro.
He is
his second time in the 500. He was number 354 in 2020. Climbed all the way up to 335 this year. So by that pace, by the 2040 list, he'll be number 1.
Guy's built like a S brick house, if you know what I mean.
Yes. Yeah, he's mostly a tag team wrestler. I've noticed through the bit of research I did. He excuse me, I'm gonna just burp right into the microphone. That's quality.
He's got like that Blackjack Mulligan quality to him.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He and Matthew Justice had the AAW tag titles for a little bit. They beat Ace Austin and Madman Fulton to win them. So it's a little bit of indie royalty there that the one called Manders helped knock off.
If you want a size comparison, he's about as big as Big E.
Yeah, that's about right.
Because I've seen a side-by-side photo of them. They're pretty much kind of built the same way. And yep. Big E ain't nothing to slouch with.
No. I have been on an airplane with Big E, and I was very glad that he was not in the seat next to me.
I was going to say, did you have to sit like this?
He was a very large man.
Whoa! Manders gorilla pressed Doc Gallows.
And Doc Gallows is what, 290 pounds?
He's a big boy. Yeah.
He's a big fella. And Manders just pressed him like he was nothing. Olympe Margot from WWE is our referee for this one. Back elbow by Manders. Nope, Gallows just walked right through it, so he just elbowed him in the back instead.
Do I know a fun fact about Doc Gallows?
Always.
He almost took over to be Kane.
Yes, that's right.
It was going to be like that whole storyline that they had where the masked Kane returned.
Yep.
It was going to be revealed that he was the true Kane.
Yep.
And this guy that came in and had unmasked was an imposter.
Yep.
Now, Kane and Gallows were built pretty similarly, so it could have worked. But it did not come to pass. So,
but as a reward, he's basically, his WWE career was Glenn Jacobs in reverse.
Yeah.
Because whereas Jacobs went from Isaac Yankem to Fake Diesel to Kane, a Hall of Fame character, Gallows went from Kane to Festus to Straight Edge Society.
Yes, the freaking Deacon.
Yes.
Deranged face paint wearing, pet spider carrying. That's right. He did it before.
That's right.
God, in Deep South wrestling. So he is a student of Demott.
Yes. Yes. I was going to say in many ways, but not in the way that most people remember Demott now.
He ended up with the son of Ray Gordy, who is known as Dalton, Jesse Dalton. Yes. And he was going to be they were going to be like this, kind of hick tag team. And then they kind of dropped that real quick. The Dalton boys became no more, and it was Jesse and Festus. And Festus had the old gimmick of ring the bell and I turn crazy.
Yep. It was like catatonic up until the bell rang.
And then CM Punk cured him.
Yes. As he did Serena Deeb.
Turned him into Luke Gallows, who then, after he got released, went huge on the independent scene. Was all over the place. He was just squashing people left and right. And eventually, when he showed up in New Japan to team up with
Machine Gun
I almost
Carl
say
Anderson.
Ken Anderson. I always say Carl Anderson to be
Mr. Anderson, the other one.
Be the tag team of the heavyweight tag team of Bullet Club. That's when it all turned around for him.
Yep. Yeah. He it's funny because there was sort of a stigma attached to, like, you know, big guy in WWE, goes to Japan, becomes a big star, comes back to WWE, is wasted. You know, you look at Matt Bloom, you know, coming back as Lord Tensai after his Giant Bernard run in Japan. Both guys a little gassed coming into the 10-minute mark.
I love when Tensai unmasked. We're all like, "Oh, it's Albert.
That's Albert. Hey, welcome back.
Hey. Why are you being called that?
it's the hip hop hippo.
Why are you being called Tensai?
Yeah, that's not your name. We know you.
You are.
But Gallows, when he came back with Anderson to be the
OC.
The OC. I kept wanting to say OGs, and I was like, it's not the OGs, it's the
club.
OC. Yeah, the original club with AJ. That was like, okay, so they became a force in the tag division. They were never quite as big as they probably should have been. But again, it's the same problem that we talked about with Private Party. They were in a tag division that had, you know, the Usos and the New Day and, you know, some top tier tag teams. The Revival for a bit before they were going to create a character Leprechauns, and instead decided to jump to AEW and be unleashed.
But they have been doing good as the Good Brothers in both Impact Wrestling and AEW. Not so much showing up in AEW anymore.
I think the AEW Impact partnership has kind of
it did kind of fizzle out
because we haven't seen Callus.
Right.
We haven't seen the Good Brothers. We haven't seen, you know, any of the Impact. It looks like Impact is shifting into more working with Ring of Honor rather than AEW now, which is fine because AEW has, you know, connections with GCW and, you know, Japan. Yeah. But that does seem to be the way it's going. I don't know if there was ever an official agreement that has like expired, or if it's just a matter of, you know, we've told this story with Kenny out with the injury. We don't really need these guys around.
But man, Manders is really taking it to task.
He is. Yeah, these guys are, you know, we said at the beginning that these guys were going to beat the hell out of each other, and so far so good. They are they're making me look like I know what I'm talking about. The winner of this is going to face Naomichi Marufuji in round 2, who we saw beat Alex Zane back in our opener.
Lots of power bombing changes in this match.
It's a couple of this is hopefully Wardlow's backstage taking notes.
I was going to say, who's going to have the Wardlow special, the Powerbomb Symphony, throwing up the Longhorns.
The big man from Crofton, Maryland, comes charging in there. Gal's going to put him up top. He's going for a superplex.
Ooh.
Off the middle rope.
That could be it.
A little bit going for the pin, though. He's going to pull him to his feet, and Manders is like, no, I'm going to punch you in the gut. Gal's going for another power bomb.
Jackknife style.
But Manders pops right up.
He's dazed, though. Ooh, big lariat.
Manders killing the business by no-selling the power bomb or something. I don't understand the internet.
That's a weird phrase.
Yeah.
Ouch, he's just a little big old headbutt.
Yeah. And now he's got to stop and catch his breath.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. You gotta know when to pick your spot.
Yep.
I never understood the Biz Cliz on his tights. Like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
that is a long-standing suplex.
That's a long time to hold 290 pounds vertically in the air. And they're both back to their feet.
If it was Alex Zane, he would have tried to like spin him around.
That's true.
Somebody really liked Alex Zane when they made that character.
Yes. I wonder if Alex Zane maybe made that character. Oh no, we've got our first DualShock disconnection of the night. Manders again powerbomb, and again stop and catch his breath. Because
I mean, that it's taking it's working. This method of just like who can take the most punishment.
Yeah.
And headbutts and power bombs, these exchanges have just been brutal. What is going on? What?
Big elbow from Manders right in the small of the back.
Going up again.
Jeez.
Trifecta? I thought.
Gotta catch his breath.
Could have been one too many, though. Ooh.
And a big punch to the face. And now
Gallows
the third
is
one.
Not looking good.
It's just a straight up diving headbutt.
I think he got out of the German. Like he kind of rolled himself out of that.
Maybe turned it into a Russian leg sweep almost. And Gallus is like, no, enough of that. Power bomb. I should have been counting. Had I known at the beginning of the match that that's what this match was going to be, I would have been counting every power bomb because there have been a lot.
Oh, he rolled it up into a bridge, but did not work.
Too close to the ropes. Olymp Margot's all over it. Another
referees are spectacular. They have got their eye on the ball.
They are on it. I would say even Rick Knox has been on top of it throughout this tournament.
I mean, he's all right.
He's doing his best work as part of the 500.
Yes.
That's still,
glad to see he's being impartial where it counts.
Yeah. Suplex to the floor, and Gallows may be content to just take the count out.
I would if I were him. I would just let him slowly try to get back in. Big spine buster.
Manders coming off the ropes.
Go for another lariat? No, shoulder
just
tackle.
A big shoulder tackle. Right in the center of the ring. He's going to go for another power bomb. This is the 48th time the charm.
Gotta be it.
1, 2, 3. It is.
Well,
one called
Manders.
Pulls off a huge upset over Doc Gallows.
Really was a matter of just who could take more power bombs in that match.
Yep. Which power bomb is going to be the final one? And it turned out to be
that. Here we go. This is our second to last match. Coming to the ring now. Colt Boom Cabana.
Boom.
Number 8 of the Dark Order, as I found out.
From Maxwell Street in Chicago, Illinois. 6'1", 233. 22-year veteran. First appeared on the 500 in 2002 at number 292. Got all the way up to number 44 back in 2012. But this year is at his lowest ever at 303.
And this right now is Adam Brooks, a newcomer for my viewing, but he is from Melbourne, Australia.
Yep,
Melbourne. Excuse me.
Melbourne. Yeah, he's actually an 11-year pro, but it's been primarily in Australia, so kind of off the radar for most American fans. 210. This is his second time ever being ranked on the 500. He was number 378 back in 2018, and then not ranked at all in 19 or 20. And
trained by Buddy Matthews.
He was indeed. Yeah, he's definitely an up and comer. I would say Melbourne City Wrestling is his home promotion. He's been their world champion since 2019. He's had the title like 2 years, 2 months, and a week or so. Well into that title reign. But he also has, he's worked for Ring of Honor. He's worked for Progress. He's one of those international stars who's kind of on the come up.
Colt Cabana, who is
tying up Colt Cabana.
Absolutely a fantastic wrestler, amazing podcaster from his studio apartment. Has one of the best pins in wrestling, in my opinion, with the Superman bridge.
Yeah,
it's so simple, and it works. It's just going into basically like a pin bridge, but his feet he like kind of planks into a push-up position, but he flies to do the pin and just goes Superman. He's got the of course the flying apple.
yes, Apple. That's
although the former version was always hilarious to me. The flying ale, which is just a running butt bump.
Yeah, it's it's JYD's thump,
Yeah,
or Naomi's rear view, or basically almost every female wrestler on the WWE roster uses
yeah,
that
they
move
really
now.
are liberal with giving that move to them.
Yeah, but it's only a finisher when Naomi does it.
When my wife first heard Colt Cabana do that move and yell it, she's like, "What did he say?" I go, "It's exactly what you think he said." She goes, "That is fantastic."
Yep. Yeah, I think it's great that Colt is getting the weekly exposure on Dark at this point, but for a major promotion. But it's a little sad to see, he was like the indie star for a while.
I think he had to sign with. I feel like he recognized I need to be secure with my wrestling. It is my livelihood. The indie scene is kind of almost gone at this point. And this was like during the pandemic when AEW was really showing like we can still put on really good shows. Mm-hmm. He made the right choice. I think he really made the right choice.
I think so too. But given AEW's signing of former partner turned not so much CM Punk, I do wonder if Colt will renew his contract when it comes up.
Know.
I feel like he's kind of lost in the shuffle of the Dark Order.
Yeah.
Like very clearly Silver and Reynolds are the guys that they're focusing on now.
And I would say even more with Alan Angels.
Yeah. Well, and Preston Vance too. Like they're those
there we go.
They be clobbering Tony.
Fly.
Colt is, he said he was, number 8 in the Dark Order. That's about where he is in their pecking order as well. Because Ty Conti isn't even technically a member, and she's more important to the storyline.
Yeah, I think like the Dark Order is eventually just going to be like, all right, we'll be together as friends, but this isn't really a thing anymore.
I think they're going to basically be like what the Elite was in the early days, where they're like a loose association of partners.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to I think Uno and Grayson will spin off into their own team. Silver and Reynolds. Maybe even going back to their Beaver Boys name, which is just one of the best indie tag team names. And then Vance and Angels as the singles guys.
I need to see more from Preston Vance just because I want to see that Deathstroke mask more often.
Yes.
Is that
sort of a variation on the Superman pin? 2.9 almost got Adam Brooks.
I love Colt Cabana, and I think he is valuable in any promotion he is attached to. Agreed. I also think that, and this is not a slight against him, but I think that if he did decide to leave AEW, it would help flesh out the rosters, again, because I don't think I don't know. I can't speak for him. I haven't seen much of what they want to do with him. And NWA did a better job. Nice flying
crossbody from Brooks.
Almost
9.
I think that if he were to say like go back on the indies and go with NWA again, or even MLW, or I think there are other promotions that might be able to utilize him, the journeyman wrestler, as it were.
I feel like AEW has evolved past the need for good hands,
right?
Which is kind of what they brought Colt in for. And they, like you said, Colt's still got a lot to offer. He's still an excellent in-ring wrestler. It's just kind of it's sad to me as a fan of his indie work to see him.
You should call up Matt Classic.
Or Scotty Goldman.
They're not on the best terms.
No, that's true.
But Matt Classic, I mean,
that didn't end well.
Matt Classic.
Poison Rana from Brooks.
He is very good for a 65-year-old.
2, 3. That does it. Adam Brooks moves on. Number 2.
Congratulations.
he will now face the winner between Lee Moriarty and Yoya in round 2.
But it is now time for our main event, folks.
The time for talk is over.
Tama Tonga, one half of the Gorillas of Destiny, one of the early founding members of the Bullet Club, the bad boy, the bad guy, the good guy, whichever you want to call him. He is ready to fight against King Muertes, Ricky Banderas,
Just
current
an icon.
IWA. What's the championship called?
Caribbean
champion. Yep. And one of the big players of Azteca Underground.
Yes. Yeah, he is, Carly Perez's pet project. And with Carly working so closely with Cesar Duran, he's a big focal point. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, it looks like they're kind of maybe building to him and Hammerstone being the next big world title feud, since we saw that tag match 2 weeks ago.
Would you say he is the biggest wrestler to come out of Puerto Rico?
In this generation, yes. I would say probably all-time influence, it's probably still Carlos Colon.
Yeah.
But yeah, since Colon, yeah, I would say Banderas / Macias /
I was gonna say, which persona do you like of his? Because he has been El Macias, Judas Macias, yep. Mil Muertes, currently King Muertes. He was Muerte Cybernetica, and then just Ricky Banderas for the most.
For most of the early part of his career,
version of himself.
Yeah. I would say. I mean, I'm a sucker for Lucha Underground. Lucha Underground is my favorite version of a lot of wrestlers.
Yeah.
So I think probably Mil Muertes is still my favorite. But I'm the limited bit of what I've seen of him in MLW. I'm liking the King Muertes persona as well. It'll be interesting to see, since it looks like they are doing something with the IWA because of the whole storyline with Savio Vega. It'll be interesting to see how he factors into that, if he's more of a factor there, or if they decide to elevate him to work with Hammerstone, now that Hammerstone has been freed by Richard Holiday. Which, how about that kill shot tease on Azteca? So excited. I've been saying, I said it here on this show.
We called it.
We wanted to see Shane Strickland show up in MLW, and it looks like he's going to. Otherwise,
can I give you a little, like, what the Lucha Underground background of the Mil Muertes character? I love this.
Do it.
Storyline: Muertes' real name, Pascual Mendoza, whose entire family died in an earthquake in Mexico City when he was 7 years old. He debuted in an episode which aired in November, accompanied by Katrina as his valet. Had major rivalry against Ray Phoenix. Was defeated by Phoenix in a Grave Consequences match, which is such a great name for a casket match. He was then resurrected by Katrina, brought back to life.
Yes. Yeah,
back
he died in the
Ultima Lucha, which is basically their Royal Rumble. Won the Lucha Underground Championship. And then defeated King Cuerno in a death match, which was great. But was eliminated by Sexy Star in Aztec Warfare for the Lucha Underground Championship. And then just this whole thing was that, like, if you possessed an idol, you had control over him. It was insane. I loved it.
So it was usually a skull.
Yeah.
But he's carrying with him to the ring. It's kind of like the Undertaker's urn.
Yeah. Muertes is a fan of the dark side, the goth wrestler persona. Yes. But but a lot of it comes from the roots in Mexican culture of their like the Day of the Dead ceremonies.
Yeah, absolutely. The Mexican relationship with death is very different than the American one. It's not in Mexican culture, death is just another step in the journey.
Yeah.
It's I hate to bring it to another pop culture thing, because Coco is probably the most mainstream for American audiences of what that culture is like.
Encanto recently too,
and Encanto, but they did their research. Like they're, as you know, somebody who's done a bit of studying about Mexican culture in high school, which 22 years ago. But it's very much you keep a shrine year round to those who've moved on. And there is a true belief that they come back to visit, and I don't know what Muertes thought was going to happen there. It looked like he was trying to set up for a pounce, but had accidentally whipped Tonga into the corner. So there was no pounce to be had. And Tonga looked like he wanted to do something off the top, but Muertes just walked out of the way.
Both guys, of the Wrestling Society X roster that he was once a part of, I can count right now how many are still active and how many are actually on television on one hand.
Yeah. What do we got?
Yeah. I remember watching Wrestling Society X, and he had this really was they were trying to do something different. It was ahead of its time in terms of trying to think of something different to do with wrestling.
Oh yeah.
And they used special effects and a lot of post editing stuff, just impossible type of things to happen in wrestling, and it was fun. I liked it. And then Lucha Underground came, and they're like, "We're gonna make wrestling a movie."
Yeah, we're basically.
What if it was a Robert Rodriguez movie?
do you like wrestling? Do you like telenovelas? Do you like
Desperado?
Yeah. Do you like Desperado? Yeah.
Once Upon a Time in Mexico?
Yeah.
I'm getting it.
And the answer to all of those was yes.
Absolutely. And not to discredit anything, we know we've been talking a lot about Muertes, but Tama Tonga, coming from that lineage, that famous pro wrestling lineage.
Yep. Yeah, he's related to the great Tongan Haku, Hikuleo, his Bullet Club associate. Tonga, and obviously we're all thinking about Tonga right now after the natural disaster there yesterday. Was it yesterday? Day before?
Yeah, it happened in the middle of my local D&D game. My one of my players is on the West Coast, and she just messaged in the middle of the game. She's like, "Oh, a volcano apparently went off. I have to get to higher ground. I'll be back."
Yep. Oh, Tope Suicida!
Wow,
from King Muertes.
Muertes, almost living up to the name of King of Death.
Man of 1,000 Deaths, or King of Death, depending on
which I want to talk about how Tama Tonga and the Guerrillas of Destiny, one of my favorite tag teams in New Japan, but most recently because the two of them showed off their single skills in the G1 Climax from this past year. They have had some of the most impressive singles matches, in my opinion. They were the ones that I really got caught up with. The Bullet Club Civil War that was going on with all the different branching out of groups, but Tonga, multi-time heavyweight tag team champion, and just charisma out the wazoo. The guy is he's got total he got jacked this past year. The pandemic was good to him in terms of time of hitting the weights.
Yeah, he definitely he got himself into maybe not quite main event level shape yet, but he's definitely looking to stand out.
Wrestling champion, just to bring it back to my hometown. I don't know what was going on with that era. They were just giving that belt away.
Cutter off the top rope from Muertes. He doesn't even go for a pin, pulls him up. And a big
Muertes, one of the rare wrestlers to go from unmasked to masked.
Yes.
And become bigger masked.
Yeah.
And he's 50 years old.
Yes, he is. Yeah. 24-year pro.
I hope I look like that when I'm 50.
We should all be so lucky.
Well,
he looked like he went for the straight to hell, his version of the flatliner, but missed. Said he's just going to choke slam him. 2, 3, and that does it.
You know, if Tonga had gone for the gun stun, he probably would have been able to hit it.
So now Muertes awaits the winner between Suwama and Charles Mason. That'll be his second round match.
That is going to do it for this episode, folks. Man, we have got some interesting combinations coming up now based off these wins. But let's take a look at what's going to happen next week.
Next week, we got another. What's that? Yeah. Another star-studded episode coming up next week. We're going to have Sonata against Royce Isaacs. Ortiz will be up against Satoshi Kojima.
Very
MJF,
nice.
who is better than you and you know it, will be against Colby Carino. Darius Carter from Top
I'm looking
Flight
actually forward to the Colby Carino match because this young man who I have watched grow up has turned into a clone of his father in all the best ways.
Yes. Darius Carter will be against Octagon Jr.
Very cool.
Rey Mysterio, another person who was unmasked and then masked, against Bateman, who was a longtime member of the trios in Ring of Honor, now primarily on NJPW Strong, while Ring of Honor is sort of up in the air. Masato Tanaka, we talked about earlier, is going to be up against Daisuke Harada. Also another person we talked about earlier, Wardlow. Yep. It's going to be an all AEW showdown when Wardlow takes on Max Caster from the Acclaimed. Listen. Tracy Williams, who we also indirectly talked about because he was a member of the Colony, will be up against
Tracy Williams.
Will be up against another gentleman wrestler in Boomer Hatfield.
I love Boomer Hatfield.
Boomer Hatfield and Tracy Williams is next week. We will also see John Silver, the aforementioned, up against Max the Impaler, who is an up-and-comer on the women's independent scene. And we will also see Dralistico, the new Dralistico, not Mystico, who was Dralistico and Caristico. This is the one that's related to Dragon Lee, who's also Ryu Lee.
I'm cross-eyed.
That Dralistico will be taking on Tommy Dreamer. So those are our 10 matches next week. We know in the second round, based on tonight's results, Naomichi Marufuji against the one called Manders, Ali Catch against Dalton Castle, Shinsuke Nakamura against Ilya Dragunov, and Ricky Starks against Shane Haste are now all set for round 2.
It's heating up, Pat. It's heating up.
Indeed.
The combinations are quickly becoming more and more attention grabbing.
Yeah.
I am excited, especially for when the strong styles will collide.
Yes,
that is just going to hurt watching.
Yes.
I really liked what we saw. There was some interesting victories and some hard fought battles. It's everything you could ask for in a pro wrestling show. And we don't even have to really do anything. We just who knew that a computer could book a show better than some mainstream shows.
Yeah. It's almost like there's a plan here.
This is why I love tournaments. I love tournaments because you can run the gamut of the different ways that all the best stuff about wrestling shows can occur in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And are there any live shows coming up that you're looking forward to on television pay-per-views?
I mean, I'm always looking forward to the Royal Rumble, even though I don't have a ton of faith.
We should do just a Rumble episode, like just talking about Rumble.
We should.
It always comes around my birthday, and I'm always happy because it's just like it's my favorite match ever. Not always just like the event, but it's the match for me. It's always happened.
Absolutely.
When is it this year? Is it in 2 weeks?
It is. I believe it is in 2 weeks. I believe it's the 30th. Because at least I hope it is.
It's a Saturday this year, actually. I think it's on a Saturday. I hope so. I would love for that to be the case, because then we could talk about it the day after.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching. It is on a Saturday, January 29th. Perfect. 29th. We can talk about it the day after.
I like it.
Folks, we hope that you enjoy everything that you are watching. And of course, you can follow us on the social medias at PW Simulated. It's all there. Even though Pat has found some more models, you can always, that sounds weird out of context, some more creative wrestling models. You can always contact us. There it is. With Pro Wrestling Simulated at gmail.com. Pat will be more than happy to tag you and share your work on our accounts.
Absolutely.
Of course, thank you for watching wherever you've been watching from. If you'd like to catch up on previous matches, you can do so on our YouTube channel. We are really enjoying still doing this, and we hope that you are enjoying watching as well. We have got so much more. I know we're halfway only through the first round, but it is going to only get better and better, and more interesting combinations of matches are going to come up. We'll still give our takes on wrestling because this is what we love to do.
That's what
get together on a Saturday morning and talk about and watch wrestling. And it's just the way it should be, folks.
Yes, absolutely. Living the dream.
And outside of the show, we both got stuff going on. Pat,
we do.
What do you got doing? What do you got doing? What do you got going?
What do I got doing? The hiatus for Kings of Consoles should be ending shortly. We haven't done a new episode since November due to a combination of the holidays and COVID and various family things. But we should be, by the end of the month, we should be wrapping up the third round of our tournament, where we're trying to find the best game for the Nintendo Entertainment System. We're down to 18 games. We will sometime in the spring crown our first king before moving on to whatever the next thing is.
Awesome. God, I always get stuck on the face that looks like the most indifferent. You're totally into this. That's the thing. I'm really into this. Well, there we go. Hi.
I just thought you were a really impressive ventriloquist.
I was intensely staring at the screen.
We are both ventriloquists.
I don't know if you've followed some of the news that's in the world of TikTok, but there has been a war going on between this group called the Council and another called Rogues, and honestly, it's one of the funniest, weirdest, cool live action role playing things I've ever witnessed, of just people going off, branching off, and making their own stories. It's a lot of fun. I'm not even really all that involved in it. I just want people to pay attention to it because it's fun. But yeah,
Mark Simpson with potatoes. I just think they're neat.
But yeah, January 31st, the Wayfinders Guild premieres. I have just been wrapping up some editing on it. Now adding little finishing touches. A trailer should be coming out soon, this coming week for the first season. And man, it's fun as a storyteller. You have an idea of where, again, I freeze. As a storyteller, you have an idea of where you want the story to, or where you expect it to go. Mm-hmm. And then especially with D&D games, you kind of hand it off to them. And and I've been improvising for 20 years. And this is the stuff that I live for, where you could just kind of hey, here's a little foundation. Let's see where we run with it. And man, did they just take off into the wild blue yonder. So I hope you enjoy. I plan on, with Pat, playing we might do a little fun crossover stream here. I found a game called Worldwide Wrestling, where it's just it's great. You just make a persona, and depending on how you roll your dice will determine which way the match goes. And you get to talk about how you not only just getting one up on each other, but how you take the action going into the show. It's really, awesome. Really cool. And it can make for some hilarious playing. So
hey, Jammin 77.
Yeah. Hi. Sorry that we're wrapping up, but you can catch our replay, of course, on our YouTube channel. Yeah. And immediately after this is done, I think it goes on the next day before it expires.
Yep. And the individual matches are all set to premiere at 1 Central Time this afternoon.
All right. So stay tuned. And thank you, everybody. We will catch you next time. I've been Mike.
I'm still Pat.
And this has been Pro Wrestling Simulated. We will